Welcome back to the Chefpreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Andres Hinojosa. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Whether you're watching us here on YouTube Live, whether you're listening to this podcast on one of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple, all of them out there, um, just thank you for tuning in. We really want to just say thank you for tuning into the show, and we appreciate you being here. I have a really exciting guest, and before I get into introducing Chef Lydia, which I'm really excited to finally get to interview her. Make sure you, again, if you're listening to this or watching this on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. Share this video. If it inspires you, share this interview. And also, we'd love it if you can subscribe to this channel, really just to be able to connect with you, tune in when we go live, and also put out some great trainings, which we'll be doing some more content as well. So if you are watching this, on YouTube, please make sure you do that. If you're also, listening to this as well somewhere else, head over to YouTube, type in Chefpreneur and find our channel and make sure you subscribe. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you Chef Lydia Huston. And one of the biggest things that I've realized about this is that there are so many different angles in the personal chef space and so many different identities, so many different backgrounds of all the chefs that we interview and even non-chefs sometimes on this show. But she has a really special place in my heart. She is one of my current protege students, which I'm really excited about. But she's in Bloomfield, Michigan. And again, Chef Lydia, can't wait to interview her. And so she is focused on plant-based nutrition. And again, I'm really excited to have her on the show. So welcome, Chef Lydia. How are you doing today? Thank you for joining us on the show today.
I'm great, and I'm really ready to talk about my vision for my personal chef business that you are helping me with at every step. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for entrusting us. We really appreciate it. For everyone out there, we've had some delays, and so I don't know. I don't know if something that is not of God wanting us to not interview, but we're finally on the show. We've had some different experiences with health, you and your family, me with kidney stones and technical issues. We've had our fair share, but nonetheless, we are here today. We finally have you on the show, and I'm really excited to get started. So, Chef, really simply, I really want you to tell us a little bit about really just your background. Again, I know your story quite a bit, and I think it's going to really encourage a lot of people. But tell me how you got into just cooking in general. Like, where did that passion come from in your life?
Well, I would have to say that it began with my getting married. And actually, my husband was the custodial parent of two teenage girls. He
Mm.
was doing all the cooking, and he was making these amazing meals. Only they weren't vegan. They weren't vegetarian. And he would be making ossobuco and um, lasagna from scratch, and he'd be making all of these great dishes. One of his favorites was snow peas with a creamy pancetta sauce.
That sounds delicious. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, might want to, I might kind of want to maybe have his recipe. So,
Yeah, so he's making these amazing meals for himself and the girls, and um, he would think of me, and I would have maybe pasta with marinara. And I know it doesn't sound very exciting because it wasn't, but I wasn't really interested in being the cook. I
mm,
was more interested in I was teaching school at the time, and I really didn't have time to cook anything for myself. But I was vegetarian then, um, almost vegan, but not quite. So I was still consuming dairy. And um, what I, the reason why I stopped consuming dairy is because I attended um, a little gathering of PETA people that came to my area, and that's people for the ethical treatment of animals. And um, I realized that dairy wasn't doing me any good. I suffered from migraine headaches, and I thought it was just, my lot in life. And
Mm,
I
mm,
got rid of the dairy. It wasn't a serious thing. Otherwise, I would have kept a journal about it. But I got rid of dairy, and I just said, we'll see what happens. But, I was busy with school, um, gym, and the girls, and I just didn't keep track of the migraine headaches that were not appearing any longer.
mm.
So I don't have a record of when it happened, how long it happened, how long did it take. But I just said, oh my goodness. And I made the connection: dairy, migraine headaches, dairy, migraine headaches. So um, I gave up dairy permanently and became vegan. And I discovered that mostly everything that Jim made for me had dairy in it. So I had to, take matters into my own hands and make my own meals. And then I began making holiday meals, and Jim turned over the reins, and that was it.
That's awesome. Now, how long ago was this, Chef?
This was about 25 years ago.
Wow. Okay. Okay. And I remember you talking a little bit about, so like basically the passion started coming out of really necessity, it
Hmm.
sounds like, right? So again, eating your delicious snow peas and things like that in cream with bacon probably and garlic and all the goodness.
All
Or not the bacon, but at least the dairy.
Mhm.
So it turned into from basically from that necessity, and that started to spark this passion. Now, did you attend culinary school after that? Did you go to school at all for this, or was it really more of just discovering and kind of self discovery and self learning with food
Well,
and
I'm
cooking?
glad you asked because while I was teaching at Roper, uh, I I just recall being obsessed with having kids try different things that was vegan, and my kids were really up for it. I was co-teacher of homeroom, and I would always bring in chocolate soy milk and vegan donuts, vegan cookies I made from scratch.
Mm.
Sometimes I made the recipe up myself, and the kids were really game to try it. I
I
remember.
mean, if you just say something sweet to kids, they're most of the time going to try it, at least try it. So
Mhm.
that's good.
They did. I remember two kids that were also in my French class uh, coming in. Well, they looked like cookies, and they tasted kind of funny, but they did look like chocolate chip cookies.
That's good.
So I did a lot of trial and error, and after the school let out for the summer, I decided to go to this culinary arts program that was in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
This was because I looked all over the place for a completely plant-based program, and this is the only one I found. So,
Okay.
so I went to Portland, and uh, I had this. But by this time, because it took me about a year to save up for the program. But by this time, I was very much of an autodidact. So I already learned so much,
Mm.
had taught myself so much that by the time I got there, everything they offered, I really already knew it.
Oh, wow.
But it was a great vacation, though. I got to go to a lot of vegan places in Portland. Portland is like a mecca of vegan cuisine, and every
Yeah.
day after class, I would. go to different vegan places. I experienced my first vegan food truck there.
Oh, wow.
Ooh, yum! I know, and I love the the laid back atmosphere of Portland. There was a vegan grocery store that I would get supplies, and um, I remember going there once or twice, and there was a sign on the door. Uh, we're out walking the dog. It was closed. Yeah, so that was like a great experience. It really was. It was just like being in college again. It was just so much fun.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
It really was. And there was a vegan tattoo parlor next to the grocery
Oh
store.
my goodness gracious. Wow, that sounds like, again, and like you said, it is the Mecca. So I mean, clearly it's acting on that reputation. I think still to this day as well. And so, what year was that? What years did you take that course?
I'm thinking 2004,
Okay, so yeah, basically you're into the journey, like you
2005.
said.
Uh, I guess I would say 2004 to 2005 because I actually started Dharma's Kitchen in 2005.
Okay,
So,
okay,
yeah, and that was an exciting time because in my area, no one was doing that. Um, in fact, I didn't even know about personal chefs in that area. I'm sure
mhm,
people were doing it, but it was um, it was really a niche profession where only the very wealthy had their private chefs, and no one else really knew about them.
yeah,
It was just all hush hush. So I began my career. Um, not doing parties, which I love to do parties, but the first real client I had serious food allergies.
mm,
She was what I called the obligatory vegan. She had to be vegan because there was nothing else out there for her to eat. And I said, wow, I was looking at the list of things that she could not eat. And I said, wow, I said, pretty soon you'll just be eating watermelon and ice.
it sounds like that. Sometimes I feel like that with some people as well that I've even and they're not even plant based or vegan. It just seems like, what can you eat? Or some people, again, the famous, hey, like, I'm allergic to all these things. And then you get to their house and you're cooking and they're like munching on bread when they're saying they're allergic to gluten. And I'm like, is that, oh, I was like, oh, you got some gluten free bread? Like, oh, no, I mean, I cheat a little bit here and there. And I'm like, so you're not allergic to gluten. You just maybe are somewhat gluten intolerant. Okay. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
you have to, and there's some people, like you said, I mean, clearly there's some people where it's very, very dire as far as like
Mhm.
truly actually feeling like sick, and it really does affect them. Which, would really, really stink if you were them. But that's awesome. So it got you, you went to this school. This school kind of taught you probably a few things here and there, but a majority of it you kind of already studied and learned.
Mhm.
Because it sounds like your passion then was really building for that. And then it's, which we'll probably get to the story with your husband, because that's the thing that really hit my heart the most. And I feel like it's really, it's such a beautiful story. But before we get there, I don't want to, unveil that out of the bag too soon. But, tell us a little bit about more, a little bit more about Dharma's Kitchen. So you said in 2005, you kind of created this. And again, I know your story and I know, kind of what happens, but I think it's really encouraging and even a really cool opportunity for you to share your journey a little bit. But tell us a little bit about Dharma's Kitchen when you first started it. What did that look like? I know that you were. What did you have your eye set on when you started that?
Well, I thought that I'd be cooking for because we lived in Birmingham, Michigan, and it's it's an area that is very wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the personal chef, I told you that there were personal chefs, they're just, weren't advertising. They were usually with these families, and I thought that I would be the one to uh, supplement parties because I just had no concept of people having all vegan parties. I didn't even realize that was going on until later. I didn't
Oh,
realize
wow.
vegan
Yeah.
people have vegan weddings, which I've also done. I didn't realize that until like later, but I thought that I could supplement when you have vegan guests at your home. I could be the chef for them, and that's what I was doing. Um, but my first real client, she had the food allergies, and then I had my second client was a really lovely family. Uh, there was a serious health challenge within the family, and I cooked for them. Great. It was a great learning opportunity because I was realizing that it vegan food there's an there's a stigma attached to it,
Mm-hmm.
like sticks and twigs and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely wasn't into sticks and twigs myself, so I was always trying to make things taste really good.
Yeah.
So that was that was my passion, to make vegan food taste really good, and um, it's still my passion to this day. But now I'm taking Dharma's Kitchen, as you know, in a different direction, and I want to work exclusively with people with um, chronic illness or
Yeah.
life-threatening illnesses.
I love that. As we first talked, like I said before earlier, as you know, you're one of my protege students right now, where I'm personally mentoring you and coaching you. And when you really came even to Atlanta to kind of meet up with us, and we kind of really discussed the strategy of the brand and things like that, it really again hit my heart on how it's crazy, right? I think that there's a lot of chefs that have that heart where they want to do good on really helping create services for people where the food is the medicine, right? And I know that's a little bit of a cliche thing to say. A lot of people say that, but uh, you're the very first chef though that we've ever, because I've actually have another protege chef, and she is also vegan, plant-based as well, Chef Heather, and she moved into really more of a coaching aspect as well. But what I really understood is, like, it's not very often though I really feel that you are the first one that I'm not trying to laugh because it's just funny how you said, I remember in the strategy session here in the office, like here in Atlanta, you were like, chef, I really want to go after the people that are like really ill, right? Like that really have some serious problems. And I mean, I'm really attracted to really want to help coach it, like to coach chefs that have a real solid and a real straightforward ambition. Obviously, that's not my forte, is helping people that are very ill with chronic illness. But what I love about it is, for you, is because you said it with such boldness and you said it with such conviction that, like, now we're not saying like, hey, in order to use Dharma's Kitchen, you got to be on your deathbed. Clearly, that's not what we're trying to say. Okay. Um,
I will do the odd party, okay?
yes, yes, of course. Right. Well, the whole thing is, and again, I'm not trying to speak for you, but I get really passionate about your vision because I think, again, it's like you're helping people that are in those realms, yes, but you're also saying, hey, I want to help you possibly even prevent having to get to that point, right? That's also a big part of your mission. But really, what ties it all together, I want to hear about, if you don't mind sharing it again, as much as you want to share about it, of the story with you and your husband, because I think from what you told me and what you shared with me, and I think that a lot of people will really find this really honestly heartwarming, and why there's such a, I'm going to make a shameless plug for you. Like if you're in Michigan and you're not talking to Chef Lydia in Dharma's kitchen about really your health and you're dealing with something, please like reach out to her. But because the fact is like, I don't really think that you're going to find someone with as much conviction of you that you have. And not only a conviction of the belief, but the conviction of your heart and your attitude towards it. And again, I'm supposed to be interviewing you, but I have to almost pour out a little bit. We've had conversations when when I've been coaching you. I'm clearly not vegan, plant-based. That's not my lifestyle. That's not what I mean, I can make a pretty good plant-based risotto. I won't lie. There's some things I can't make, right? But what I love about you, Chef Lydia, is you're also not throwing rocks and stones at me, right? You're not, and that's really refreshing, because I think, diet styles, my personal opinion, again, we've talked about this, is that it's not a one size fits all for everybody. That's not really how the world works. And so, but I really want you to share, if you don't mind, the story of you and your husband, Jim, because I think that really is what you've told me has really even triggered you even more to go down the path of saying, I really want to help people. I don't want to just be this chef per se. I want to really help people with nutrition. I want to help people get better. I want to help people heal. And so it's almost a little bit more than just personal chef services. You're getting really an expert here that's sitting on this podcast that really knows her stuff, and that it's proven with people she's worked with. So, Lydia, can you explain and just kind of share that part of the story with us about you and your husband and his journey?
Yes, yes. So, when Jim and I met in 1999, he had Crohn's, and which is an autoimmune disease that affects your gastrointestinal system. And he was on medications. He didn't have flare-ups at the time that I
Mhm.
met him, but um, closer to us getting married, there were flare-ups. And I do remember one flare-up in particular around Mother's Day, where we took my mom out to dinner and we brought her back to the house, and Jim didn't look good throughout the dinner. He just looked really sick. Um, he looked feverish. Um, by the time we got home, he just crawled upstairs to bed. That's not like him. Usually he entertains mom, and we're late into the night, and but he was just sick.
Mhm.
This His condition was actually getting worse, not better, because at one point it was Crohn's and something else. Eventually he had ulcers in his colon, and that wouldn't heal.
Mhm.
I took his diet in hand and made it a policy that we were going to eat plant-based, whole foods in the house. Yeah, of course, out of the streets he could eat whatever.
Yeah.
And he was eating whatever, but
I like how you talk about him like a feral cat. When he's out on the streets, he can eat whatever he wants. No, I'm
I
just, if you're watching this, Jim, I promise you're not a feral cat. I love you. And so, but basically you were like, hey, when you're in these four walls,
know.
I am your, food master,
Uh-huh.
basically.
Yeah, and I tell you, it was enforced veganism, but it it's the reason why at 82, Jim is fit and he doesn't have any serious health issues at all.
Wow,
Um,
that's awesome.
and he is still, and his mind is just as sharp as it ever was. I really, if I hadn't taken things in hand, I think that the following things would be existent: hypertension, probably diabetes, heart disease, um, maybe even dementia. I mean, really. And Jim was a good guinea pig, because everything that I read, he's the kind of person that I want to read it. So we can be on the same page. So everything that I was reading, he was reading. And then he'd say, yeah, yeah, this is good plan. Let's try that too. Or, I mean, he
That's good. There was buy-in there because of
Mhm.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, so he was into it as well. So I was able to transform his diet. Now, before Jim got seriously ill, he was seriously ill during COVID, and it wasn't because he ever caught COVID during that
Mhm.
time. His issues with his gastrointestinal system just went from bad to worse, and um, at one point, after several colonoscopies, um, over like a year's time, it was proposed that he have his colon removed.
Wow.
And uh, so, of course, Jim, he wanted the best, and the best in our area was really good, highly recommended. But he still thought that he would have to remove Jim's colon, and Jim would have a colostomy for the rest of his life.
Mm.
That wasn't Jim wasn't having it. So his first idea was, no, I'm not. I'm just not going to do it. And I said, why don't we get a second opinion at Cleveland Clinic? And he said, okay, but if they say the same thing, I'm not going to do it. I said, it can't hurt though. So we went to Cleveland Clinic, and we saw the best gastroenterologist there, and she said that we can remove the colon. You would have a colostomy for 3 months. You come back, we reverse it, and you'd be good to go.
Wow.
And Jim said, I can live with that. Okay. So that's what we did. And after healing, which it was surprisingly a short time healing after it was reversed, um, and he was fine.
Wow.
And I still have him on a whole foods plant-based diet. And right now, I've been trying out a lot of anti-cancer salads on him. He's been very game for them because I'm making them really tasty.
Good. That's incredible. And I think, and again, I don't want to, I don't want to expose your husband a little bit on his little bit of fame there, because he does have a little something to his name. But I think it's important to actually touch on that a little bit, because, it's one thing to say, like, I'm not trying to speak for all men here, but I am a man, and I'm a chef, so I'm probably a little pickier than most. But most men, you put something in front of them and they just gobble it up, right? And but when you're a chef, or when you're a foodie like your husband, you can't just pass off something that doesn't taste very good and say, "Hey, eat this." And, like, there is a level of, like, eating something for your health that, again, as you said, I think you said twigs and leaves or something like that. I know that that's not what you cook, but a lot of people will perceive this, and they have this notion about plant-based where it is that way. And I know it's not that way at all. I think some people do cook really flavorless, but to be honest, there's a lot of people that cook meat and other things that are not plant-based very flavorless. So that just means that maybe some plant-based vegans are just not good cooks, period. But
Yeah.
let's just be honest here, right? I mean, not every Italian knows how to make a good pasta. Okay, I'm sorry. It's just the way it is.
true.
So the other side of it is like, okay, so your husband does know food. He's been in the food business. If it's okay to share a little bit, would you share a little bit about, his experience? Because I think it, I think it really plays a testament to you, Chef Lydia, like we said, like, people listening to this or watching this, you know, if you're looking for something and looking for someone who can bring the health aspect in, when we were working on your menus for
Mhm.
specific chronic illnesses, I mean, you kind of gives me goosebumps because you had very specific recipes with very specific dishes that were meant to attack and reverse and help heal some of these chronic illnesses. Now, again, we're not making crazy disclaimers here. We're not saying that, Chef Lydia has the magic purple pill. But the fact is that she knows where the spear's at and we can really start to tackle it. But, I think it's just a big testament to you and your cooking ability and how you could take these things and make them really yummy because your husband knows food. He's not, so tell us a little bit about just really briefly, like, what his experience is with food and why I'm saying that to begin with.
Okay. Wow. I could talk forever, but I will give you the condensed version. Okay. Jim Houston, if you Google him, he is the progenitor of the Yukon Gold potato. Now,
Wow.
if you don't know what the Yukon Gold potato is,
You're living under a rock.
yeah.
Every chef uses them for mashed potatoes, I think, in the world. So, yeah, pretty big deal.
Yeah, so he's actually like he's the first real foodie I ever met. Like he's very particular about. In fact, I remember he was bringing a very special potato over from France. It was called a Larat, and uh, he he got a grower. He got the seed from the French farmer, and he got a grower locally. And um, when the harvest came in, he said, "We're going to prepare these." And I said, "Oh, I would love to prepare them myself." He said, he was very specific. You cannot, you only can roast them at this temperature. You cannot leave them in for longer than 15 minutes. Otherwise, they're overdone and they're ruined. Like,
Yeah.
okay, no pressure there, but
Yeah. Yeah. As he's over your shoulder, breathing.
yeah, he said just a little bit of salt, not much, just a little bit. I was like, okay, so I did end up roasting them to perfection, okay, with a little bit of rosemary. So um, yeah, Jim is very particular about his food, and uh, he's the world's biggest food critic. So whatever I try, usually I try to try it on myself and my mom first, and then try that.
And they tried on Jim. I like that. That's a smarter approach as you're approaching him. I mean, I think that like because first of all, that's a huge deal, right? The Yukon Gold potato, right? And I'm assuming, again, I don't want to make assumptions here, but I'm just using my imagination and kind of what you told me is like not only is he a foodie with that and why he is, but he's also probably been surrounded by some of the best chefs in the world and probably knows them, right?
Oh yeah, Joel Robuchon. He has a book signed by Julia Child. Uh,
Wow.
yeah, he and I remember we have dined a few times at the French Laundry, and I wanted to surprise him with oh gosh, why can't I think of his name? Um, Thomas Keller.
Thomas Keller.
He came out with a new book, and I wanted to surprise Jim with it on one of these birthdays. And uh, I talked to um, Chef Keller's assistant, and I said, "This is a surprise for my husband, so he can't know anything about it, but uh, could you, have him sign it and FedEx it to me?" Well, she FedExed it to me, but it said French Laundry on it. So it's just like, what are you getting from French Laundry? What is it here?
And you're like, great, thank you. Well, there you go. You gave him his gift early, probably.
Yeah, I just gave it to her.
That's really amazing. And again, that's just testament to, again, if you're able to really get your husband, I don't want to say to buy in because I know that he's bought in on his health. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
you as a chef, of course, but most importantly, as his wife, really actually caring about him and wanting him to eat better. But you knowing that even as adults, not that we're children, but we even have to be like, well, if it does not going to taste good and it's not going to be able to be worked into our lifestyle, it's really hard to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to do, those types of things. Even Caitlin on our team, she's really inspiring because, she's a busy mom. She obviously is great here on the team. She's our chef concierge managing, like your brand and different brands from chefs that are being built. And, she's one of those where it's like, hey, I got 13 minutes at 9:18 at night. I'm doing squats, I'm doing weights, I'm doing some, kind of body exercise on the floor, whatever I got to do to fit it in. And even if I can't get my full workout, I'm going to get 13 minutes of it or whatever. And I like that approach because she fits that in. And I think with a service that you provide, people that are really needing the food to really give them those kind of healing attributes and really getting them to get well and better from those chronic diseases. First of all, there's no easier way than just saying, Chef Lydia, come cook me my meals, right? Like, hello. Because then it's like they're ready to go. You don't have to fit them in your lifestyle. You really just have to heat them, enjoy them, and kind of watch your health progress, right? That's the goal. So that's really incredible, Chef. I think, I really appreciate you taking the time as well to dive in through some of those journeys and really sharing some of those intimate moments with you and your husband, because again, I think it's very important for people to understand that a lot of chefs don't have, they have their selves as far as like their testimonial and their proof. And I think that that's also amazing. But
Mm-hmm.
you yourself, like, there's a lot of confidence there. So if someone is looking to hire you and really provide, get, kind of provided services from you, um, I think them knowing that you're convicted on what you do and what you know and how you're honestly, you have the biggest heart. I mean, I think me and my team, we talk about all the time. We talk about you behind your back in a good way all the time. We're like, Chef Lydia is probably one of the sweetest chefs we've ever coached and worked with, like beyond measure. And, but it's very natural for you. You have such a loving heart. Even when my kidney stones, that I was passing over the few weeks ago when we had unfortunately postponed again and the whole thing, um, you were so concerned. You were like, oh my gosh, please, like, send Chef my love, like praying for him. And it's very genuine. And so I think it's really, I wouldn't say it's rare in the world. I mean, I believe myself to be, I love people and I want to help people as chefpreneur. That's like my passion. It's what fulfills me. But unfortunately, not everybody's like that, right? That they can put their heart there. But some of us put our heart there, but we actually can't back it up with competence and really actually get the job done. I hate to say that, but it's true. I know a lot of our hearts are in the right direction, but some of us can't get the job done. And you do both. You have that heart to serve. You have that will to give people the best possible service and really love on them to get them healthier. But at the same time, you're competent enough and actually hold the skill to get them not only like the food, but want more of it. And it's just this repetitive cycle that becomes beneficial as opposed to repetitional stuff that makes them go down, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I'm not feeling well, so then I get depressed and then I eat bad food and then I'm getting worse. In this case, it's like I'm not in a great position. I'm starting to get your services. I'm starting to, eat the foods that I should be eating, and I'm getting better and healthier and stronger and more energized. And then it's like it's a good thing. Plus, it tastes good, so you're wanting more, but then your health is actually increasing. So that's pretty incredible. Now, Chef, at this point in the podcast, what we like to do is kind of, again, as I say, flip the script a little bit. And, I'd love for you to just ask me any questions that you would want to ask me on the podcast and anything that you would want to discuss.
Oh, okay. Well, I do have three major questions, and I think we might have touched upon this like in one of our coaching calls, but uh, my ideal client. I have three ideal clients.
Yes.
One of them doesn't have any health issues. Okay, they're just in it for prevention and great tasting food, and possibly it's a family of like four or five. Um, but the ideal client that has the serious health issues,
Hmm.
that's there is a fine line to walk
Yeah.
um, when it comes to this, because um, people can go in several different directions. Okay, say you've already been to a conventional doctor, and um, they've told you that this treatment is the only path you should take, um, because that's the only way you're going to heal. Otherwise, you have maybe 30% chance of living out the year. I mean, I'm just throwing this out there, but
Yeah. Yeah.
already you're scared.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I am not into scaring people more
Yeah.
with, if you don't go this way, um, with a whole food plant-based diet, um, you really don't have much of a chance going that way because there are side effects.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going there. And I'm not ever going to tell someone that this is the way.
Yeah.
But if a person's already done their research,
Hmm.
they've already read the books. Maybe they haven't read all the books, but they've read some and they like what they read and they want to try this way. I will help you. I will go 300% in giving you the best food, the best instruction. I will go through your home and remove all toxic substances, and we will replace them with healthier cleaning products and home care products. I'll do it all.
Yeah.
But I will do it only if your belief system is that you should go in this direction.
Correct.
Um, if you are very conflicted and really scared, and in the back of your mind you're thinking, you know chemo is my only chance at this, um, and you just want me to supplement good food, I'll do that too. um, but I am not going to attack anyone's belief system.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm here to do. I am here to help, not hurt or frighten anyone. So if your belief system is that you need both a whole food plant-based diet and chemo, or a whole food plant-based diet and surgery,
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Yeah.
I'll go as far as you want to go with this. But my question to you is, if someone calls me and they're really not of the mind that this will work,
Hmm.
how do you extricate yourself diplomatically? Because that's
That's
not the kind of client I want.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's a great question. I think my personal opinion and advice on that approach is one that might be confronting that head on. Okay.
Hmm.
Because let me kind of paint the mental picture here for what you just said a little bit. Um, if someone's not in the mindset that they think it won't work, realistically, mentally, and psychologically, with anybody, when you're doing any type of sales conversations, to say the least, there is a sales conversation, or when you're just conversing with someone,
Hmm.
we really can't get people to just believe and agree with us.
Hmm.
Um, People have to come to that conclusion. Okay. Your husband is a perfect example. he wasn't necessarily questioning you, your motives, what you were capable of doing, but he was the one saying, I want to read this stuff for myself. And then when he read it, he then had the belief himself. And
Mhm,
then he used you as the tool to help him achieve that.
mhm,
Okay. So when someone is in the crosshairs or crossroads, we don't want to go down the angle on the side like you said. I think that's already checked off the list. Like, we're not trying to say fear, 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 fear. There's ways you can challenge people's thinking without getting it into fear. And a lot of times it's just asking the right questions to direct their own efforts on diving into the issue or the information further.
mhm,
So, for instance, it wouldn't be fearful, but it'd say, on a scale from 1 to 10, your condition right now, where do you feel you sit with hope, just in general? Like, and they're like, well, I'm at a 1 out of 10. Well, in that case, it's like, well, here's what I'd like to do. Like, what will it hurt then? If we're already at a 1, we're already at a baseline where you're feeling like there's not a lot of hope. There's that direction we can go, is kind of like almost like, why not? Why
mhm,
not give it a try? Right. And, we could sit here and talk about liabilities and things like that, which need to be sometimes discussed.
mhm,
And when I'm saying approaching it head on, it's like you always want to hear and understand them, but at the same time, it's okay to like call it out, meaning like, hey, if you're not believing that this will help your situation, and again, I would use that word, not, it's hard because you don't want to, like, even with our programs, right? When people invest, I make very clear. I made it very clear with you, like, you are literally going to be the actual ingredient that makes your business successful. Okay. I cannot care about your business more than you do. Otherwise, the business will never work for you. And really, it'll be more my business than yours. And Chefpreneur, right? I mean, really, Chefpreneur has, Chefpreneur, we exist to empower chefs, not to pull power from them. And if you think about it this way, Chef Lydia, you yourself in your business, when you're helping people and wanting to help them, you're actually wanting to assist them, yes, but you're always going to be in the driver's seat. They have to be in the you have to be in the passenger seat. I'm sorry. They have to be in the driver's seat. So you have to be the one empowering them. And there's different ways of empowering them. It's not just like a hoorah inspirational speech. It's through education. It's through ease. Like we talked about, they're just heating up meals from you. We already know that chances are probably 99.7%, 99.9% of the time, your meals are going to be healthier than whatever they're eating already. We already know that. Right? Let's just be honest, right? So the baseline is not really hard to hit.
uh-huh,
But empowering them is making it easy. Empowering them is educating them for themselves. Maybe it's even gathering, I want to send you an email with just 5 different studies that I have no association with, that I have discovered that really make some really compelling arguments. Do you mind just like, can I just send it to you? Like, and calling it out. If you're not believing that this could help you, and I think that's a very specific word in your specific company, is help. Because if you say heal, if you say things, I mean, God forbid, we don't want any kind of legal trouble, and we won't get into that. But in the United States, it's unfortunate that, you can only treat certain illnesses with certain things, right? Like it's illegal to treat them otherwise.
mhm,
But it doesn't mean that you can't help the healing. And like you said, you're not wanting to combat people's opinions. I think that's a very wise and a very good approach. But in that case, it's kind of like, well, here's the thing. I won't work with you, not because I don't want to, but because I can't believe for you. So I actually insist and recommend and would love for you to do your own research on this. Let me give you some materials to do that. And listen, if you feel like this is then the right path and you want to make the decision to allow me to help you, I am like here with open arms. And what's going to happen is they're going to feel like, wow, she's not making claims. She's not making claims, like maybe their first thought is liability, but then really it goes into more like, wow, she actually cares about me. Like, because there's not going to be any benefit for anybody when they don't believe in it. Period. It will never happen. You can't, it's really like shoving a square peg into a round hole. You just can't do it. Right. So it really becomes psychological at that point, and information is something that can enlighten them. And I probably use the word enlighten as opposed to educate. Some people, when you use the word educate, it feels very like, oh, I'm uneducated or I'm dumb. No, but let me enlighten you on things that you don't know
Mhm.
that I have learned. Right. So that's one. And then when I say calling it out, it's like always, always understand where they're coming from. I often say, and we've said this in even in our coaching calls,
Mhm.
our clients don't want to just be heard. They want to be understood, right? I had a client, I took a call on yesterday from a gentleman who's coming in from Texas. He's wanting 3 dinners for his family, 6 adults, 5 kids. They're renting this beautiful property that we've cooked at before in San Diego. And he was kind of like, I went to 3 different websites, literally his words, not mine. I went through 3 different websites and I just felt like there was a disconnect. And then I came across your website and I said, wow, this is very professional. Like, I feel like, and he picked up the phone and literally called us, and we had a good conversation, and we're sending him some menus, and he's wanting to book 3 dinners, including on Easter. And then he's actually maybe thinking about adding on some different breakfasts. So it's going to be a nice little, probably $4,000 or $5,000 worth of services. Now, the biggest thing is that when I'm on the call with him, all I'm talking about is his family on vacation, because that's what he's saying that they're going to do. So what do I do? Well, who wants to sit down all proper at a table other than Easter? He wants a little bit more formal, but he's like, I kind of want it casual. Like, do you guys do casual, only fancy? I'm like, no, we do casual. Like, you guys want to be playing. There's like a 9-hole, like little putt, like a little putt in the yard. Like, it's a really cool house. They have all types of like outdoor activities for the kids. So I'm like, you guys just want to be hanging out while we're just cooking for you, right? You guys come up, you eat whenever you want on, breakfast or whether it's dinner. We're doing all the work, but like, so because I even told him I'm a father of 5, and I said, I feel like I come back from a trip and I need a vacation with just me and my wife after our vacation, right? Because we're really just doing the same thing that we do here at home, feeding the kids, picking up after them, doing this, doing that, just in a different location, right? Like, we
Mhm.
really, that's what it is. And he goes, oh my God, it's so true. And I'm like, so what we want you to do is just relax. So we want you to play playing golf with the kids and not having to worry about the food, the cleanup. You're able to just relax and actually enjoy the property. And he goes, man, maybe we want more than 3 dinners. We're there 5 nights. I'm like, well, we're here for you, right? Because the
Wow.
whole thing is not, it's not that I'm trying to like push him. It's that I'm envisioning what that looks like, right? So for you, it's envisioning these people. And the first thing is calling out the frustration. Man, every doctor, the 3 doctors you've had, this is why you have to get to the bottom of what they're saying. If they're said, I've talked to 3 doctors, they've all given me the same diagnosis, this is my only option, chemo is my only option, whatever it is. And you're saying, listen, maybe it is your only option from the doctor's perspective to actually treat exactly what your is, but here's the deal. This is now factual. Your body will be depleted from chemotherapy because it doesn't only attack the bad cells, it attacks the good.
Mhm.
And what happens is like, I can possibly help you to just restore some of those nutrients as they're being lost through your process. But
Mhm.
I'm not here telling you don't do what you feel is right in your heart.
Mhm.
A lot of trust comes when you're actually, again, understanding them, right? That's how people
Mhm.
trust people. Um, some of these amazing moms that are out there. Caitlin is one of them. She kind of has like does some Instagram stories, and she's really awesome. My wife, like, moms know other moms. They just do, right? They know the stresses, the struggles, the headaches, the attachment to the kid, but then the days where you're like, I want to detach from them, right? Like, all the things, right? And the reason why they get so powerful together is because, just like fathers, just like any human beings,
Mhm.
is because they understand each other, right? So the more you can understand the situation that your husband was dealing with, the more you understand your husband, the more you understand your clients, the more they're going to trust you, which means they open their heart up, and the more that you can enlighten them,
Mhm.
right? About And again, even avoiding the word facts and truth and all this stuff, because a lot of facts can be opinionated. A lot of facts can be not necessarily the truth. But if they come to the conclusion, then you're there to welcome them with open arms when they say, yeah, I finally want to walk through this door.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do it. So I know tomorrow we have our coaching call. I'm excited, and we're gonna really dive into the sales call. But
Yeah.
this is a little pre coaching here on the podcast, because on those conversations, that's what you should be talking about. You're really understanding them. You're getting them to open up about their fears, and it's okay to even call out their fears of what's going on. Like, hey, you probably feel stuck. You probably feel hopeless. I'm not necessarily here saying that I have the magic bullet. All I'm here to say is let me enlighten you. Let me see if I can provide you any information and enlightenment that allows you to make a more informed decision. And what happens there is it takes away the stress and the pressure for them, feeling like, wow, she's backing up. She's not even trying to sell me her services yet. She's backing up and just allowing me to like go through the journey and get there on my own first. And then we can talk about the next steps.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And again, I'm not trying to use so much chefpreneur examples, but a lot of chefs that we talk to, even in chefpreneur, they want food trucks. They want to open a restaurant. They want to open up these businesses. They want to become entrepreneurs, right? And sometimes we get, my team and I get them on a call, and they're so stuck on wanting a food truck. Now, my personal opinion, it's not a very good business model. You can definitely make money with it, but it's just a lot harder. But really, I'm not there to try to twist their arm and convince them that. I'd like to just share information that maybe possibly enlightens them on making a better and more well-informed decision. Then if they decide, you know what, the personal chef business model, I watched some of your YouTube videos, you sent me that PDF, you sent me this, I really was researching it myself, you kind of enlightened me, opened my eyes. Then they come back and saying, you know what, I think you're right, I want to go through this business model, which is the personal chef. Now I can actually talk about how we can just help them accomplish that, but they're not there yet. So
Mm-hmm.
some clients are going to be like, oh, I've done the research. I saw your social media post, or I saw this article, and then you came up when I searched, plant-based personal chefs in my area or whatever, and they're already ready to rock and roll. They're like, I want this. I know this is going to help me. I've done the research. Then there's going to be people again that they're not at that point yet. And here's the real honest truth. When you're the expert leading them,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not all the way to the finish line, but you're leading them halfway, you're still the expert that's helping them get there on their journey. And so take that pressure off of you. You don't have to like fine line it very much. You really just have to present it like, I'm here to help you regardless. Like, even if it's to help you make a more well-informed decision, not with my opinions. If you would like them, I can give them to you, but really just providing you information to enlighten you for yourself so you can see what's in front of you and what is the potential and what are things maybe to avoid. So again, you can make a well-informed decision for your own health, for your own future. And honestly, I would tell them on the call, I'm here in your corner regardless, right? Dharma's Kitchen, Chef Lydia, and our team, we're here in your corner regardless. We got your back. We love you, and we want to see you live your best life. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Does that help navigate, answer that a little bit? I know it was a little long-winded, but
Absolutely, absolutely. So I can see that tomorrow in our coaching call, you will present me with some challenges.
yes,
And
yes, because we're going to be doing a role play, and I will be that difficult client, so you can get your practice in
mhm,
on really how to navigate those situations, and again, for the betterment of your client. You know, so yeah, that was a good question. You hit me with a good one there. And again, that you're not. It's a lot of chefs that we coach. It is like, okay, they want to do a bachelorette party. They want beef sliders and they want like cheesecake, right? Like it's pretty easy. And it's like, well, yeah, like all you got to do is tell the bachelorette, well, we're going to have a lot of fun. I promise I'll just show up with my apron on, just joking. That's not my service. Then the client starts laughing like, I like you. You're fun. Yeah, that's who we're looking for. And then you already got the gig, right? But in your case, it's obviously a little bit more serious and different things, but the principles are somewhat relatively the same, but it's just getting them to make their own. I mean, I do that even in our enrollment calls with programs. Like, I'm not here to push or pull or twist anybody's arms. I'm here to present you opportunities, present you information or facts that we have found, again, like opinions, even if you want mine, and then allowing people to make their own decision on what they want to do, right? But you really can't sell or get someone to, really invest in your services, chef, if they haven't come to that decision themselves. And again, everybody does this. We all come to our own decisions, but we get a lot of help from areas, right? We have this thing called social media, Instagram Reels. People get a lot of information from these 10-minute clips. Oh, like having a dog in your house is horrible. And then another person having a dog in your house is amazing. And it's like, there's so much information. And again, I look at two reels like that and I'm like, no, there's some really crappy things about having a dog that's probably not good for your health. And there's some really great things about having a dog that are. So like, they're not both necessarily wrong or right, but it's, what conclusion are we coming up with? Where are we getting the facts and the information to make the best decision and well-informed decision? And really, it's just, it's studying and it's positioning them. And so if you can just grab their hand, lead them over to the pond of information, lead them over to the pond of studies or your own personal testimonies or whatever, and you're not forcing them to, hire you at all. You're not even there yet. You're just, here's this big pool of information. Here's some things I can give you. Study them for yourself. Let's schedule a follow-up call in, 10, 12 days when you've had and it's not even for you to hire me. It's just, let's schedule a calling. Maybe you have questions after you read some things and then you do want my opinion. I'm here for you. And all of a sudden they're like, well, I don't even need to know the information. I'm just already sold on how amazing you are you're the first person I've talked to that's not trying to sell me something. You actually were the first person trying to better my life just by enlightening me to make a better decision. And all of a sudden the trust goes from here to here. That's what happens. So, does that make sense? You probably did it with your husband without realizing. I mean, he maybe didn't have a choice because you're like, yeah, you're eating what I put in front of your face. So that's the other approach of getting your clients success is showing up to their house and just pushing the door down and saying, you're eating what I'm going to put in front of you right now. Right? And I'm just joking. I know yeah, that's it. Here's the food. Here's my invoice. Pay it right now. Have a nice day and be healthy. Right? No, that would be probably a very aggressive tactic, but it might actually work with some people, to be honest with you. So, but no, Chef, I think, again, I'm just so excited about what you offer and what you do. I want you to really, really understand that, like, and I want to say this to everybody watching this too, like, again, I'm not just trying to butter, Chef Lydia up here. Like, really, honestly, from the day I met you, Chef, you really, again, have the heart for that. You are, which is the reason why I even got coaching from you. It was like, you're like, I really want to serve these people, but I'm in my head a lot. I don't want to, I feel, you wanted to learn how to navigate conversations like this. You have a lot of confidence and you have a lot of conviction in what you do. But it is sometimes challenging to convey that and trust me, I know in Chefpreneur, I try to help a lot of people. It's hard to sometimes convey that, not only passion, but to convey that message to them. And we can make it as clear as possible. But again, if they're not open to receive it, even just even getting enlightened, some people just are closed and they don't even want to learn about anything. Right. And that's like a whole nother podcast we can do, because those people won't even give anybody the time of day. But it's hard sometimes to convey that message directly to what they're thinking or what they're figuring out. And so in a sales conversation, that's where you do have to ask a lot of questions and ask the right questions, which you're well on your way. So speaking of that, Chef, I really want to ask you just one more question before, I don't know, and I know you have maybe a couple more questions, but is there what would you say to someone, even like, what has been your experience with Chefpreneur? Like, I know you discovered us and really wanted to ask that because, again, I think kind of talking about your services, it actually inspired me a lot. It actually is very parallel to us where we coach a lot of people and we have a lot of conversations with people about where they are in their career and what they want to do. And sometimes it's we have to enlighten them first on just like, hey, what do you want to do? And let's present some things to you, like not our programs, but let's present some statistics to you for you to research. But what has your experience been working with us at Chefpreneur, in your own words?
Well, it's been an amazing experience. Actually, you offer something that I really didn't think was possible.
Mm,
I had a vision for Dharma's Kitchen, and all I had to do was like share it with you. Um, I've seen I've seen my website that will be, premiering soon, and it is amazing. I mean, Caitlin, boy, she is just awesome.
she is.
Yeah, she she is really truly awesome. And homeschooling kids too. I mean, she's just amazing. So, just if you are at all stuck in your personal chef journey, you really need to reach out to Chefpreneur because they will help you. And by the way that we interact on our coaching calls is it's supernatural. I mean, it's just like
Oh,
have
that's
a
really sweet
thought
of you.
and you are typing out what's going to appear on my website. It's like I don't even have to say it. It's the most amazing thing. Um, it's like working with an empath. I mean,
Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but thank you. That really means a lot to me. That really means a lot to me. Well, I think we just have. I really appreciate that, Chef. And we again, it's because we could say that yes, because we've helped a lot of chefs, but I think it's because again, like we said, we understand where chefs are coming from, and we also, I've been in the personal chef space for over 12 years now, and you get to know how clients think as well. No matter if their clients literally booking Dharma's Kitchen for amazing nutritional plant-based services that are honestly beyond just being a personal chef, more of even like a health coach to a degree, right? Whether it's clients looking for those services or clients looking for an elevated anniversary or meal preparation just for their busy family. Like when we coach chefs, I think the difference is we really know what clients look for as well. So we're able to really position your brand and work with you to get that point and message across that it resonates with your clients. And we say it all the time, like we really want you to be the top personal chef in your area and what you're specialized in and what your niche is, and we just know how to convey those messages really well. So I don't think, although I would like to receive a compliment like I'm an empath or something like that, I don't really think that's it. But I do believe him. We put God first in everything we do, and we know that God supernaturally does give us wisdom and knowledge and different things. But honestly, we just also really have a passion to serve people and serve chefs like you. And again, it's really humbling to me, and really we feel honored that you have trusted us in something like this because in our little small world, right? When I'm talking about small world, like Chefpreneur's world over here, you know, again, your success of your business is dependent on you. That's the final aspect of what's going to drive it. But what we're doing is we're really coming alongside you and helping you. And for us, we feel like it's a monumental thing to do, especially working with a chef like you that will impact people's legitimate health lives. Like what we do. That's why we take every brand and project and chef that we coach and work with very seriously, because we really don't know what that chef is going to do for their clients, right? Like, and again, it doesn't have to be everyone that we're working with is dealing with people with chronic illness, right? Um, but even giving a family a vacation where they don't have to worry about anything, that in itself is having them live a much healthier and much more fulfilled and happier life, right? I mean, so as personal chefs, we have so many people that we can serve. And that's why I fell in love with the personal chef business model, because it's so personal, hence the name, that you're able to truly serve people and love on them without the constraints of being behind a restaurant line, being behind a food truck, being behind and some catering kitchen in the back. You're able to really deliver your heart on a plate for them. And we love Chefpreneur. We exist to help you guys accomplish that. And so I'm definitely not going to take me personally and even my, the organization of Chefpreneur any credit for your success. But in our own hearts, we're going to be so excited cheering you on, looking at you go and saying, that patient that was struggling with some cancerous cells, or that patient or person that was struggling with this chronic illness, it was either eradicated or their life was extended or they lived healthier, more energetic lives because of what Lydia has done with them. And we can just feel amazing knowing we had a small piece of that to play, which just gives us a lot of fulfillment. Like, wow, like we helped Lydia help people. And that's what it's all about. So, Chef Lydia, I want to thank you again for coming on the podcast. Do you want to share? I know the website's not up yet as we're airing this, as we're going live, but do you want to share your website for people when we do have it up? And for any clients that are really looking, and even if you're not in the Michigan area, I already know this about Chef Lydia. She would love to still maybe even help you, just have a discussion with you and really see if she can give you some, coaching or even again, enlighten you. This is an amazing woman, again, with an amazing heart, with an amazing set of skills that really all three of those things combined really can really accelerate your life in all types of areas. So, Chef Lydia, can you share your website with us and how people can get a hold of you?
Yes, you can reach out to my website. It'll be up very shortly. Dharmaskitchen.com. That's DHARMASKITCHEN at
.com.
dot
Yep.
com. Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Chef Lydia, again, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. We really appreciate it. And it's been such a pleasure and an honor. And just really excited again about all that God has in store for you. Guys, if you want to listen to more of these interviews, if you want to make sure that you're always in the know when we go live or when we put out some new training on the YouTube channel, again, or if you want to just, again, hear these podcasts, whether you're listening to it on Apple or, Apple iTunes or any of the podcast platforms out there, Spotify, make sure you tune in, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, like it, even leave us a review. We'd love for you to leave us a review if you're listening to this on a podcast platform. It really helps us out. That's the only price of admission for our videos, is really just to like our stuff as well. And again, if you guys need any help, you'll see in the description here in YouTube below, we're able to schedule a call with you and help you in your business and in your journey anyway. So we really appreciate it. God bless you guys, and we'll see you guys next week. Take care.